Good morning, students. Myself, Dr. Balasubramaniam, working as assistant professor in the Department of Zoology, Government First Grade College and PG Center, Chintamani. Now, today we are going to discuss about the digestive system of Unio. Now, this digestive system of Unio, it is a topic in the phylum Mollusca, and where Unio type study is there. And this portion belongs to the second semester of Bangalore North University. Next, so digestive system in the case of the Unio, the digestive system, as usual, like all the other animals, Unio also has the alimentary canal and a pair of digestive glands. Now, the alimentary canal, it is a long coiled tube and comprises the mouth, esophagus, stomach, intestine, rectum, followed by anus. So these are the different parts in the alimentary canal. Now, digestive system of Unio here. The Unio is a filter feeder and traps the phytoplanktons by the enlarged sieve like gill plates or demibranchs, from where the water enters from the inhaled siphon. So this inhaled siphon meant for the entry of water, and there when the water enter, so this water serves as a part of respiration, and also it's the water serves as the collection of the food, namely the microscopic organisms. Now, the first part in the alimentary canal or digestive canal is the presence of the mouth. Mouth is a transverse slit like lying immediately posterior ventrally to the anterior adductor muscle. So that mouth is found immediately posterior ventral to the anterior adductor muscle. Then on either side of the mouth, are pair of oval, fleshy, flattened and ciliated labial palps. The outer palps on each side unite above the mouth to form the upper lip, while the inner palps fuse below the mouth to form the lower lip. So upper lip and lower lip are the type of the labial palps, namely the outer labial palps and inner labial palps. The two labial palps of each side enclose a ciliated oral groove which leads to the mouth. Now, there is no jaws and radula in the case of the Unio. Now here we observe clearly the diagrammatic representation of the diagram of the digestive system of Unio. Now here we find the labial palps. So outer labial palp and inner labial palp, and mouth is the transverse slit-like structure found towards the anterior side and posterior lateral to the anterior adductor muscle. Then see, mouth lead to the small tube called esophagus, and this esophagus then just enlarges to form a sac-like structure called the stomach, and from the ventral side of the stomach arises the coils of the intestine, and this intestine further it penetrates into the pericardial cavity, and it's followed the rectum and finally the anus. So this is the diagrammatic representation of the alimentary canal of the digestive system of Unio. Now esophagus, the mouth leads behind and dorsally into the short narrow tubular passage called esophagus. The inner wall of the esophagus is ciliated. So this esophagus lies between the mouth and stomach. So it helpful for passage of food from the mouth to the stomach. And of course, cilia are there just to facilitate the easy flow of the food, easy passage of the food material. namely the microscopic plants and animals. So, next one, stomach. The esophagus leads to the thick-walled sac-like stomach called, which has the ciliated lining as well. The stomach lies dorsal to the visceral mass, and it is surrounded by a large digestive gland or liver, which opens into stomach by many ducts. Next, further description of the stomach. The stomach is bag-like with a ciliated lining, as we discussed, and speciality is that there is a crystalline style is there in the stomach, which is a transparent, solid, gelatinous and flexible rod-like structure being secreted by the cells of the stomach itself that rotates at the bottom, churning the food and mixing it with the digestive juices. The speciality of this crystalline style is that it always helpful for the mixing of the food material along with the digestive juices. Further, the crystalline style has a matrix of protein. It also contains the mucus and carbohydrate splitting enzyme, namely amylase and glycogenase. The amylase is condensed over the protein molecules. So whatever the carbohydrate material found in the food that is digested by these secretions of the crystalline style, that amylase breaks down the complex starch into the simple disaccharides. Next, intestine. The posterior end of the stomach leads to the intestine. Now, this intestine runs ventrally into the foot, coiling its way through the visceral mass, where it is surrounded by gonad. The coiling is a characteristic pattern. In the case of the Unio, the ascending limb runs parallel to the descending limb and continues into the rectum. So this is a characteristic coiling of the intestine is found in the case of the Unio. Rectum, the post-terminal part of the intestine is called rectum. Its wall is produced internally into the longitudinal mid-ventral fold called typhosol. So this typhosol increases the surface area for the absorption of nutrients, just like higher animals have the villi and microvilli, just to increase the surface area in the case of intestine. Similarly, this Unio has a typhosol. This typhosol increases the surface area for the absorption of the nutrients. Similarly, typhosol is also found in the earthworm as well, which belong to the phylum Annelida. Rectum runs posteriorly through the pericardial cavity, embraced by the ventricle of the heart, and then passes over the posterior adductor muscle and finally opens to the anus into the posterior part of the suprabronchial chamber or the cloaca. So as you saw in the diagram, intestine just runs dorsally and it pierces the pericardial cavity and it almost opens to the anus posterior to the adductor muscle. Now, digestive gland, it is also called digestive diverticulum or liver. It is a large structure of dark brown or green color surrounded the stomach. It opens into the dorsal portion of stomach by many ducts. Now, this is what this digestive system, digestive gland, what we observe here. This gland not only secretes digestive enzymes, but itself readily ingests fine food particles, bringing about intracellular digestion. Now, this is the stomach and surrounded by the digestive gland. So it produces a lot of enzymes. All these enzymes are produced into the stomach to facilitate the easy digestion of the food material. Summary of the digestive system of Unio. So this food of Unio is comprises minute plants, protozoans and organic debris. So it is a filter feeder and ciliary feeder. Digestive glands produce enzymes which bring about digestion in the stomach. The digestive glands take up the solid particles of the food and intracellular digestion of the proteins as well. Further, the specialty of the stomach is that there is a crystalline style made up of protein and mucus. Its material is mixed with the food in the stomach and produces semalytic enzyme for the digestion of carbohydrates. So finally, the references of this topic, where this Kotpal textbook is a good book for the invertebrates, then Jordan Verma and Ekamanath Iyer and Dame and S.N. Prasad. Thank you for hearing.